Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crabcake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now.
Hey, joining us today is Richard Karn, who is the famous Al Borland from the hit TV show Home Improvement that ran for 9 years. How are you today?
As opposed to the non-famous Al Borland.
That's true. That is true.
Because that's some guy, in Wisconsin that just doesn't know what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the phone tonight. You are going to be actually here in Annapolis pretty soon, September 29th and 30th at the Annapolis Home Expo, which is going to be held at the Byzantium Center. We can't wait. You were here not a couple years ago, back last fall.
We hope that Hurricane Florence is not going to reach that far high up, right?
Nah, Florence is a non-issue for us, although everything got canceled because everyone lost their head and thought Florence was going to destroy Maryland, but she didn't. She's working her way through. That is a very good thing. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, I know you've probably told us 1,000,000 times, and I'm going to be the 1,000,001th time, but tell us again, how did you get that gig on Home Improvement? Because I think that's such a fantastic story.
Oh, my gosh. Well, when you're a young actor out there, you really sometimes don't know how things work, technically. You know that you want to work and you want to go and do this and that, and hopefully one thing leads to the other, but you're not quite sure about the whole mechanics of it all for the most part. I mean maybe there are some guys that are extra smart that can figure that out, but mine was just nose to the grindstone. I spent 11 years doing theater in New York, meeting people, saying yes basically to every experience, and one of those experiences was accepting an offer from a director that I had worked with in Holland, Michigan. I'd done summer theater at the Hope Summer Rep in Holland, Michigan, and this director calls me up and goes, we've lost an actor and we need somebody to come in and help with this playwrights conference. And I go, oh, yeah, where is it? It's in New Harmony, Indiana. It's down there in the corner, the southeast west corner, and we can pay you $100 a week stipend. And I go, well,
big bucks.
That sounds great. Yeah, okay. So I went and did that, and lo and behold, the three guys that had just come off the first season of Roseanne and were just worn down forever because she did not treat them very well. But they, Matt, David, and Carmen were putting together this playwrights conference, which was basically playwrights writing their plays and having actors read them in real time to see how they sound, and then rewriting with dramaturgs and things like that. And that's how I met eventually the producers of Home Improvement, which happened like maybe 6 years later. And, it was all because I took this job in Indiana, and it really did help. It's also about, being prepared when you get the chance. Because sometimes you get that chance and you're not prepared. But I was at a place where I was able to give them a call when I found out about the audition for Home Improvement, that they were doing that. So I called them up, a very bold move, and they were very frank with me. They said, it's already cast. We've already got Stephen Tobolowsky, and you know him from a million things, but maybe Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
He was the life insurance salesman, but they cast him. So when I called, there wasn't anything that was available for me, but they brought me in anyways because I could meet their casting director, and that was a good thing as a young actor to know as many casting directors as possible. But Stephen got a movie, couldn't do the pilot, and they knew that I would be gracious enough to come in, do the pilot and be okay with Steven taking over if the show got picked up. And I was, and it was it was a great opportunity. I got to meet Tim. I'm doing the whole week. It was like 10 days of rehearsal and show, and I'm just thinking, oh God, these guys, they're so good. This is going to be a great show, and I just get to be a part of it for a little time. But that's all right. There'll be other opportunities. And the show did do well. It did very well with the advertisers because it got picked up right away. And
oh hell yeah.
And when that happened, Steven got another movie and couldn't do the first few episodes, so they called me in to do a couple of more episodes. And, after 2 or 3 shots at it, they said, you know what, this is working. This is absolutely working. We don't need to change it out here. And Tim's having a good time. And what happened was Tim and I just clicked, I don't know, the serendipity of how that kind of stuff happens, but we worked well together, and they saw that, and we're able to see this, me and him going forward.
As a fan of the show, and without knowing the serendipity, I mean, I will have to sit there and say that you guys really had what came across as such a genuine dynamic between the two of you guys. And actually not just the two of you guys. I mean, you take around, Patricia Richardson and the kids, which are not kids anymore.
But when you think about it, Pat wasn't the first choice either. She was the first wife. The first 3 days of rehearsal with me was Frances Fisher, who was the mom in Titanic. And the writers, we had like a little bit of an audience, and the next day Frances was gone and Pat was in, and it freaked me out. As a young actor, I'm thinking, can you just replace somebody that easily? That's so weird. But Carmen Finestra, one of the writers, because I asked him, I straight out, I said, well, what happened? What's going on here? This is very disturbing. And he goes, well, the chemistry wasn't quite right. Frances is an incredible actress, but, her and Tim didn't click. And when they brought Pat in, it was like, oh, wow, now I see, I understand, but I wouldn't have seen that before. I never had to work with those kind of dynamics.
Home Improvement also had a ton of cameos of, who's who of everything from, music and Hollywood and everything else.
I know. It really was fun. It really was cool. When somebody would show up, it was like, oh my God. I'd watched this person, growing up, and, like Ernest Borgnine and Jack Elam were on an episode of Tool Time, and the stories they would tell were just, incredible. It was so much fun.
Who was your most memorable, starstruck, oh my God, do I believe that X is here on the set with me at Home Improvement?
Well,
do you have anyone that stands out?
Well, like I said, I think Jack Elam and Ernest Borgnine, because I grew up watching, McHale's Navy and
sure.
and Jack Elam in like all these different movies and things like that, and then I got to do a scene with Morgan Fairchild.
There's nothing wrong with that. I saw Morgan Fairchild naked in The Graduate, and in a theater.
Wait, she was in The Graduate?
Delaware. It was I don't want to say a summer theater, but it was a theater in Wilmington, Delaware, and a woman I was dating at the time had taken me up there for my birthday, and she had done she played Mrs. Robinson and was briefly naked on stage.
Wow.
So that's my claim to fame with Morgan Fairchild.
All right.
That was probably about 10 years ago, 15
But we
years
also, Ann Miller was on the show, and, Chris McDonald was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
There were just all these different people that it was just wonderful to work with them and act.
Family Feud, you did it for 4 years, and I got to thank you. I totally remembered you. We had playing on a trivia team, and we were asked how many hosts were on Family Feud.
And how many are there, do you think?
Well, we thought 5, and we were wrong. We were wrong.
Okay, there was Richard Dawson, then there was Ray Combs. And then there was Louis Anderson.
Yep.
Then there was me.
Right. And here's where we screwed it up.
John O'Hurley was the 5th.
Right.
And now Steve
Harvey.
Steve Harvey was the 6th.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was O'Hurley screwed us up, man. We went with 5. We lost the question, but damn it all, we had Richard Karn. Okay. But was that a fun? I mean, was doing Family Feud? You did that for 4 years, or and was
I did. I wanted to do more, but they apparently, yeah, you know, I didn't figure out the math, but they were changing hosts like every 4 years. Louis Anderson was in his 4th year. They replaced me with him. You know, after his 4th year, and then after my 4th year, they replaced me with John, and after his 4th year, they replaced him with Steve. And by that time, I kind of caught on what they did. And so when I ran into Steve at an event, I said, hey, you know, this is what they're doing. And he like looked at me sideways, like, yeah, I got a lot of things going on. I don't have to worry about that. And then I see him like a year later, and he goes, you know, I was thinking about what you were saying to me, and that's very interesting because people don't usually talk about those kind of things. But thank you for letting me know. And now he's in his 5th year.
Yeah. Hey, the bloopers that we see all over YouTube on Family Feud, are those legit? I mean, are
bloopers?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes things are just funny, and you have to stop and acknowledge it. I mean, I was pretty good because I'd been fortified by 8 years of home improvement of stuff that's funny. So a lot of times I didn't have to stop and crack up and everything, but every once in a while something would catch you by surprise. And the weird thing about doing that show is because we're doing it in real time. You know, I'm basically kind of doing it so that you don't have to edit out much. I was doing it really quickly, and when you're in the moment, you don't remember stuff. So, you know, a whole show will go by, and you knew that there was a couple of really funny things, but I couldn't be specific about what that was. And finally, I just told the writers or the editors. I said, you know, if something's really funny, just let me know. Remind me, you know, because things went by real quick.
That's funny. I mean, because some of them are just absolutely hysterical. And I love when you see and I don't want to say that you're a straight man necessarily, but it's when you're trying to play a straight guy and the joke is just so damn funny. I mean, I see it sometimes on Saturday Night Live, and you know, we're trying real hard not to laugh, and it's just not being able to hold it in. I think that's wonderful. And we saw that in Family Feud. We saw that certainly in Home Improvement as well. You know, some of the improv.
Well, they weren't, you know, in the Home Improvement, they didn't tell us that they were going to do the outtakes. That just kind of happened. And, you know, after the fact, we saw them and it was like, wow, you know, I can't believe you guys put that in there. But in an interesting kind of way, it kind of created a sense that we weren't just, you know, 2D. We were characters that had another life, because all of a sudden you're seeing you know, us break up, and so it kind of humanized the characters a little bit.
Are you still tight with the rest of the cast? I mean, with Tim
I see Tim and I see Debbie all the time. I see the kids once in a while. I haven't seen Pat for a while, and we lost Earl, unfortunately.
Right.
And Pam I haven't seen for quite a few years.
Right. Now I'd heard a rumor a while ago that there's possibility of a reboot on this. Is anything
there is
to that?
There, and it's still alive, but because of Last Man Standing getting picked up, it might be delayed for a year or two.
Ooh, that's nice. Looking forward to it. You know what I'm looking forward to, because I was talking to my daughter who's 21. I said, and I'm like, Home Improvement? And she says, no, that was Ty Pennington. I said, no, that's you know, that's Home Makeover. and
that was the real Home Improvement.
So I'm like, this is going to be, if you got a reboot on this is going to be great to I'm going to reintroduce my daughter to that. I mean, it's just hysterical. I would love to see that. That would be absolutely amazing. So
yeah, I you know, if it's done right, I think it could be a lot of fun.
Hey, well, aside from pining away at home on the couch, just waiting for the call to come do the Annapolis Home Expo, what else have you been up to? What keeps you busy?
I just finished a series that's going to premiere on Hulu in February called Pen 15. When I told my son the name of this thing, he laughed, and I go, "What's funny?" He goes, "Well, Dad, you don't know what's funny about that?" And I go, "No." He says, "Well, write down Pen 15 on a piece of paper. What does it spell?"
Oh, God.
Exactly. Exactly. And the show's about, you know, these two girls who are in middle school. And so it's middle school humor, you know, in a way.
Oh.
But I play the dad. I play the dad of one of the girls who's in a Steely Dan cover band called Stealing Dan. and it's really lovely. It's really a funny show. So I've been doing that. And in November, my wife and I are going to go to Kansas City and do a play called Sheer Madness.
Okay, I've never seen it. I've heard it. I've seen it performed, or I've seen that it has been performed somewhere. That's great. So do you do a lot of summer work, or?
Well, this is 3 months smack dab in the winter.
Okay. There are better places to be than Kansas City in the spring.
I know. But I took like 20 years off from theater when my son was born. I didn't want to go off and do theater because I'd be gone every night. But when he reached college age, like 20 years later, I said, maybe now's the time to try some theater. And lo and behold, like a week after I thought that, I get a phone call asking if I'd like to do a play in Kansas City, and that it was that theater, the new theater. And I accepted that, and then someone saw me in that and asked me to come up to Calgary to do a play, and then Jacksonville, Florida to do a play, and so I've done like 5 or 6 plays since then.
Wow. Well, that's good. Well, I'll tell you, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I thank you very much, but we're going to see you here in Annapolis.
I'm going to be there, absolutely.
You are on the
please
29th
come by.
and 30th. Yeah, and you're going to be telling us all like how to keep out of trouble. Right? Is that how that's going to work?
Well, the only way you can gain experiences is by screwing up.
I'll go along with that.
You have to make mistakes so that you can learn. So you have experience. So you know what not to do next time that happens.
That is true. And for the folks that are listening, you can find out more information at AnnapolisHomeExpo.com. But here's kind of a thing. If your name is Al, like Al Borland, or you dress like Al, which means plaid, you get in for free, which is kind of cool. And then I saw a picture when you were up in Howard County, I guess it was in the spring, where you posed with a bunch of people that sort of came as little mini-me's, which seemed to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of flannel.
But I'll tell you, Richard Karn, thank you very, very much for your time this evening. We look forward to seeing you on the 29th and 30th of September at the Annapolis Home Expo at the Byzantium Center on Riva Road in Annapolis. And I look forward to meeting you as opposed to just talking to you on the phone. I will make sure I hunt you down and say hello and introduce myself.
Absolutely.
And I do want to thank you for your patience in connecting together with this discussion, because it took a little bit. We had some technical problems early on, but finally we got a chance to do it.
All right.
All right. Hey, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You take care, and I'll see you soon.
Hey, John, before you hang out with Richard, can I say hello?
I don't think so, Tim.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.